everybody. It is Monday, April 8th, and really not a lot to report on today. I will say this headline, something that, stands out. TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, gets grant money from the U.S. to build more chips. And this is really important because TSMC is a huge driver for a lot of chips that are in 80% of the electronics that you use today. So whether that's your iPhone, whether that's your computer, they are a vital component. They're also in Taiwan, and given the tensions between the United States and China, having some diversity outside of the main country of Taiwan in terms of chip plant manufacturing is a plus. Obviously, plants like these take a while to really get full steam, but this is a good start. Also today, I believe the Fed has two people speaking. You got Goolsbee talking and Kashkari. So keep watch on that. The markets may fluctuate. I believe they'll talk later this afternoon. So let's just get right to our markets. And we see crypto here is in the green. Crypto is in the green. Let's see. Bitcoin is pushing up to retest all-time high, it looks like. You have 73. So let's just take a look real fast at the overall crypto market. It's going to look just like the Bitcoin chart and Ethereum chart because those are the two main drivers of the crypto space. But we are retesting 2.7 trillion. The altcoin market is pulled back from trying to get to that 800 billion mark that I was telling you we were on track for last month. So it may retest here. This is a double bottom on a daily, so which is a bullish sign. You go up, neckline, come down, and then you shoot up. So we could hit 800 billion and then pull back down. We'll see how this plays out and if any of these signals confirm. But there looks like there's still room for this to run and whatnot. So getting into Bitcoin now, a lot of reasons here. So this, if you don't remember, those in the community, I did a video on the halvings and Bitcoin's prices and the historical patterns there. So that's what this is reflective of. I'm keeping it here. This is when the halving is. And I'm factoring in a rough 22% drop from wherever the price is. And then we trade sideways for roughly 138 days. So that's what this is. So don't get too confused on that. I did move my inflection up on Bitcoin, because the realized price, so on-chain data is reflecting that the actual price for Bitcoin based off the network activity should be around 28,200. That is what on-chain data is reflecting. And historically, we tend to pull back to the realized price. No matter what the trading price is, it eventually comes back to what the price that the network is saying it's valued at comes back to. So just move that up there. And keeping watch of that. In terms of Bitcoin, there could be a few reasons why this is running the way it is. You obviously have the macro narrative of Bitcoin, but you can't overlook the banking sector. So this is another thing that would work in Bitcoin's favor is if we start to see in this month, and in the coming months, of banks failing, of regional banks failing, of any type of banking instability, Bitcoin will see a rise in price because the macro narrative on Bitcoin is a hedge of inflation. It is a way to preserve value. And the beauty of Bitcoin is that this isn't a U.S. asset. You have countries who have currencies that are hyperinflated that love the stability of Bitcoin because it will retain its value. Even with its current volatility, it's much better than what anything like the Rwandan, not Rwandan, the Zimbabwe currency or Liberia, you name it. These nations that have huge hyperinflation. So if we get and you got China as well, the yen, excuse me. But if we get any type of instability around banks, then Bitcoin will see a rise in price. So that's another narrative that works in Bitcoin's favor. So this partially could be the reason why it has pumped up the way it is. We'll see if it retests all-time high, but really isn't anything at the moment that would be driving this outside of what we already know, which would be a continuation of. Ethereum is forming this looks like a double bottom pattern here. So we could retest 38, but as I did with Bitcoin, on-chain data is reflecting that given the network activity of Ethereum and whatnot, current value, realized price is $1,908. So eventually we pull back to the realized price. It's just a matter of when. So I just moved my inflection up there, meaning when we touch that, that's definitely an opportune time to buy. And then we get below that, start seeing if there's any confirmation signals of bearish indicators. All right, so again, the markets are not open. The S&P 500 is about 45 minutes away from opening, but you can see the S&P had a huge bearish engulfing candle. This is pretty substantial here on the daily, given this asset. We could see it pop back up to 52.4, and we'll have to see if it holds. There's another company that has similar, NVIDIA, and essentially when you see big candles like this, you're in for more of a downward trend moving forward. So we'll see if this confirms. The probabilities are saying that this is going to be this is kind of like the rollover phase now for the S&P, but we're going to see. We're going to wait for confirmation. Nasdaq's no different. Let me adjust this. Nasdaq is no different. Tech sector. All the major, like again, NVIDIA had a similar thing here. And again, we could start seeing a rollover. So definitely be more methodical with your dip buying. Because you could literally be buying the dip all the way down if this continues. And then when it goes back up, that's a big win. And so, you want to, again, be methodical about your dip buying when you see big candles like this. The Nikkei, so Japan's PPI data is going to come out tomorrow. And we'll take a look and see. Again, PPI is Producer Price Index year over year. And again, Japan is the biggest buyer of our bonds. So we definitely want to keep watching their economy. That's the reason why I watch the Japan markets. Not just because I'm fond of the Japan culture in certain areas. The VIX. So here we go. So we're seeing a pullback on the VIX, which tying into Bitcoin could be why we are seeing a run up in Bitcoin. So again, the VIX is volatility, 30 days out, options. But this is like a gauge. This is the fear and greed index for the equities market, 30 days out. And so this pullback is great in my opinion, because now we're going to get to a point of crossing over. You know, we dipped below that trend line that I had here, but with the run up in volatility getting as almost as high as 17, we are now pulling back, a healthy pullback. I'm expecting us to pull back to 15, which means we can see risk on assets, you know, pump up a little more. But I want to see this hold. I want to see this hold here, because if this starts to hold, then that will signal to me that we're getting a new direction in terms of volatility. We're going to slowly start to inch up until we get to the 22 mark, which then would mean opportunity is presenting itself, both in equities and in crypto. So the VIX, I'm expecting it to hold around that 15 number, even if it dips below, getting back to where this line is on the daily and going from there. So seeing some good healthy action with the VIX. The crypto ETFs, as I've stated before, when they start to roll over, they're going to roll over. They're tied to Bitcoin. You got a lot of gaps down here, a lot of gaps to fill based off news, based off just buying. So yeah, when this rolls over, it's just going to roll over really good. And there's going to be opportunities to buy if you're interested in not holding actual Bitcoin, but the IOU of an IBIT or VanEck or Fidelity ETF. All right, and so lastly here, kind of rounding this off for banking, this is the XLF. This is the financial sector. This kind of covers all the banks as a whole. And keep watching this. Like I said, if this starts to roll over substantially, we could see a pump in Bitcoin, like I said, because the idea is this, Bitcoin acts as like a digital gold and preserving value and transacting. I can hold Bitcoin, swap that into some USDC, and then send that. I have some type of liquidity here in Bitcoin if I fear that the banks are unstable. So, and I'm mainly referring to regional banks in the U.S. And so that's it. Definitely be vigilant. This week, like I said, we're going to get Japan's PPI data tomorrow. And then we'll get the Fed speakers today, Kashkari and Goolsbee speaking. So their words will move the markets, or have influence, I should say. And then Wednesday, we get CPI data. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Happy investing.